can you please give him a thumbs up? And she messaged back and she was like, I'm so glad you like him. You know, I really think it's going to help after I heal. That it'll be easier for me to feed directly into my J and know that it's going in there as opposed to flipping tubes every 3 weeks. Okay, so this week, hold on, I gotta move my hair. I'm sitting on it. Hold up, almost there. Okay, so this week has been so crazy and so much roller coaster with treatment options and hard to wrap my head around. Hard not to get real angry when medical professionals don't get it. Okay, so today I saw, okay, so he's a new GI surgeon. He does tons of like weight loss surgeries. But he also does other like gastric type procedures too, because he's certified for general surgery. So this guy, my GI is friends with this guy, and they used to work at the same health system until he decided to go off into private practice. Apparently very well known and kicks booty. So oh man. So this is a third health system. I'm just like collecting them now. So today was the first time that I met him, and I was going in for a consult for a direct J tube. So like I would keep my GJ, but it would be converted back to just a G. And then the J obviously is a, it would be a straight J. So we talked about all the things. Still hurts my throat, yawning. Everything hurts tonight. Like, my muscles hurt. My arms are really bad. My legs are really bad. I'm not certain if it's dehydration or malnutrition kicking in on those. It's less pleasant. I digress. So anyways, I had a list of questions. I was very unprepared for this appointment. Like, I always prepare better and, you know, write down all my questions and all that. And I didn't do it, so I was driving this morning. So Mom was my wingman, and she wrote questions down as I thought of them on the way. So I had a page and a half or so. So the guy was super nice. I know this is like, it's not supposed to be important, but it's important. Like, his facility was very clean, and like, he was dressed very professionally. You know, didn't have the whole white coat and all that, but like, he dressed well, and his staff was super, super nice. And they laughed at my jokes, so of course I really liked them. So I went in with all my questions, and obviously I've had a very, very rough time finding a general surgeon that can work with all of my moving parts. And I'd had a very, very bad experience with general surgery, third quarter or so of 2018. So he put me off of the idea of having a direct J because he was so awful, And so my GI talked to my new surgeon, told him the things, that was going on. They already sent all my records over there, which was super easy. So I told him all about, like, my big 5 diagnoses and how they all intermingle to make my life interesting. And he asked about what my thoughts were for, like, about the surgery and complications that I had with the first surgery. Obvious concerns that it's gonna kick all of that into high gear again, which is very scary. That took so long for it to go away. And, like, I still have twinges of it now. Like, when I cough or I sneeze, or it's a Tuesday. I mean, every once in a while it's bad, but not as consistently as the last one was. So it would be on the same side of my abdomen that they would go in. So I'm super nervous about that part. Since I have so much trouble dealing with or dissolving sutures, they would end up doing, well, the inside would still be stitched, like my intestine to my abdominal wall. That would be stitched, but I normally have trouble if they're like surface sutures. So he has one kind of peg that it's not a peg, one kind of J tube that he normally deals with, and I want a Mickey. And so we talked about, good and bad things for both of them. So he's going to look up what I want to see if it's doable. I'm going to look up what he suggested and see what I think. How he described it was pretty rudimentary. I have so much problems with the tube, like whatever tube is hanging out. Like, my pegs were so much longer. They get caught, like they get caught under you when you sleep. They get caught between my legs when I'm at work and I'm trying to move around. It's so much more weight pulling on me, and you don't think it's that much weight, but oh my gosh, it really does take a toll. So, oh man. So my intestines would be sutured to my abdomen, like inside of my abdomen, in the right spot, and then a hole would be created from the outside in or the inside out. I think it's outside in. And then everything is kind of held in on the outside with adhesive. And, I get rashes, I get super sensitive skin, whatnot. But there's also something called new skin that my first home health nurse told me about. And I've never tried it. I think she gave me a sample, actually, to try it. What else? We talked about potential complications, because there's something that can happen, and your intestines can kind of like get wrapped around the tube part of it, which obviously is an emergency situation, because you can kill off tissue if it doesn't have good blood supply in a very, very short amount of time. If one of these tubes is pulled out for whatever reason, which is one of my biggest concerns because it's not held in with a balloon, it actually starts closing in like an hour and a half. I didn't realize it was that short of a window, and he said, yeah, he's like, if it's an emergency like that, like you literally have like an hour and a half to get it put back in place, or it's gonna have already healed to the point you'll have to have more surgery. That was terrifying. What else did we talk about? I don't know, it's just general, in recovery time, and, how long am I going to be in the hospital, and all that stuff. So, a lot to think about. So, he's going to get back with me on one thing. I'm going to look up something so I can give back my feedback when I talk to him again. And, he had asked me, like, come on some of my other stuff that I have going on, and obviously dehydration was mentioned. And so I told him a tiny bit about my saga of trying to get someone to approve the port, and everybody just keeps wanting to pass the buck and pass the buck. And so we were just talking about stuff, and he was like, well, I can just put your port in. And I was like I literally, I was so stunned by the comment. It literally, everything left my brain. I was just sitting there, and I was totally speechless, trying to figure out what to say, what to ask. And I was like, can you do that? And he was like, oh yeah. He's like, I'm trained in all general surgery. And he was like, that's one of the things that I'm trained in. And he's, we talked about, good, bad stuff. And, that your veins will fail at a certain time, because you kind of have, scar tissue from the catheter portion of it. And it really, really took me a minute to actually, find my, my woo-saw again. And he was like, let me see your shoulder. So I kind of, pulled my, shirt to the side so he could see. And he was like, in larger people that have more fat on their bodies, there's a certain way that he does it, but because mine, I have so much bone, just right under the surface, there's a space, I don't know what it is, but it's right here under the edge of my clavicle, and there's not a whole lot there. And so he said that he would be making the incision there, and then the port would be kind of normally is, but maybe a little bit lower, because I'm so rib cage bony at the top. And he was like, if we can get it more on your chest, he thinks it'll be easier for me to deal with it and not be such a problem. And then you can run it into jugulars, but you can also run it into, he called it a supraventricular, dude, I don't know. And I was like, okay. And I was like, can you just schedule both on the same day? And he was like, of course. He's like, and that way it'll cut down on the amount of anesthesia that you have to have, which is great, because it's really, really starting to build up in my system. It's just it's hard for me to get it out of my system. I'm sure the dehydration has something to do with that too. And he was like, yeah, I can totally schedule in the same day. He was like, all I really need is a thumbs up from your primary or GI. So obviously I'm not telling my primary anything, because she's just making everything hard. And so so I told him that I would message my GI. So we got out of the appointment. There wasn't a follow-up scheduled, because I need to look up stuff and tell him, and he's going to look up stuff and tell me, and then we'll kind of decide, how to go from there. So I messaged my GI in the parking lot before we even left, and told her that I really, really liked him, appreciated the referral, and oh my god, my sugar keeps crashing so bad today. 65. I woke up before the surgery yesterday, and it was at I don't remember, 45, 50. It was really low. And tonight I'm just having trouble with it. I fed pretty much all day. Everything just hurts right now. It's so irritated from the surgeries and all that stuff. And air. Just breathing makes it hurt right now. And I still have my scopolamine patch on. Right there. I get those pretty much with every surgery now, because it helps with motion sickness and whatnot afterwards. I normally take it off after 24 hours because it weirds out my eyes. It makes my eyesight blurry because it dilates your pupils. But I had to go all the way back to Dallas today and back to work and then back home and all that stuff. I was really worried about getting sick. The last thing I'm going to do is twist another tube 2 seconds after I get it. Okay, so I messaged my GI, told her what had happened during the meeting and whatnot, and he just needs a thumbs up. And, would you please give me the thumbs up for it? And she messaged back. Hold on, let me jump back a second. So I get a phone call like right in the middle of all this going on, and it was a health system prefix, but I didn't have the number, so I didn't answer it. And it ended up being the palliative care team calling to actually schedule my appointment. And so I tried to call back to make the appointment. They were crazy busy, and they put me on hold forever, and I finally just hung up because I had other people I had to call back. So I messaged my GI, told her all the things. Can you please give him a thumbs up? And she messaged back, and she was like, I'm so glad you like him. You know, I really think it's going to help after I heal. That it'll be easier for me to feed directly into my J and know that it's going in there as opposed to flipping tubes every 3 weeks. And then she was like, you know, I can't really give him the thumbs up on the port because she wouldn't be the one, like, for my aftercare, the actual fluids or any of that stuff. It's just not her department, which just seems weird because I think it still falls under GI. But it's the exact same thing I've been dealing with forever. You know, like, oh, it's a great idea, go talk to somebody else about it. Oh, it's a great idea, go talk to somebody else about it. And over and over and over again. So, since I knew I couldn't get her to do it, I'm not going to my primary, whatnot. And so anyways, I called palliative care back again about scheduling an appointment. And I talked to a super, super nice nurse there. I told her who I was, blah, 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 and she looked up the referral, and she was like, okay, well, let's get you scheduled. So, like, right now, May 30th is the fastest they can get me in. So, 25 days, something like that. It's not ideal, but I'm really hoping that it's going to help. And, I asked her, I was like, since this is like the first visit and I've never been in there before, what do I expect? Like, I've never even heard of this place, much less, know anything about it. She was like, hold on, let me actually check your referral. So she pulled it up and she was like, well, pretty much all it says in here is that, like, you have chronic diseases and illnesses and whatnot that you want to kind of talk about and see what can be done. And there was something else. Well, pretty much just like patient concerns. So it was very open-ended, which was good. And I was like, yeah, I've got, a lot going on, and it's incredibly hard to manage it all. And I said the immediate need is I want to have a port put in, and everybody thinks it's a great job, but, a great idea, but nobody will actually sign off on it. And I said, my general surgeon is ready to go, that I can have 2 surgeries done at one time. But I said, obviously, I have to have somebody backing me up after the surgery is done, to get me all of my supplies. And I still have to learn how to use it and all that good stuff. And so she was like, yeah, that really doesn't sound like something you need to crazy wait on. I was like, no, I'm really tired of going to the ER. And, oh my gosh, poke after poke after poke. So many peripheral sticks, it's just awful. And she was like, I totally understand that. And she's like, I'm going to take all this information to the nurse. And she said, I'll talk to her about what's going on. And she's like, I'll see if I can, if they can squeeze you in any earlier so you don't have to be waiting on that part of it. And I was like, anything you could do would be, super great. And there was something else. Oh, and I said, would you be super annoyed if I called you every week to see if you had anything open up? And she was like, girl, of course you can do that. And she was like, if you just want to call me every day, that's fine too. She was so sweet. And it totally made me laugh. And I was like, okay, I'll take you up on that. And she was like, you do. And it was really cute. So, one of the other things, I looked up the palliative care team in my main hospital, and I don't know what I expected, their titles and whatever to be, or certain kind of doctor. I don't know. My heart just messed up. Ugh. Anyways, So I'm looking at the information on the directory. Don't know what I expected, but it wasn't just like kind of like normal things. And there were several people in there that were listed as blah, 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 internal medicine. And internal medicine in my health system means like primary care. So what I'm really hoping for is they can approve the port and coordinate it with my new surgeon. And then, oh my gosh, get on my face. And then they can help me coordinate through my already infusion company to get all the supplies and all the parts and pieces and everything I need. So I'm very much crossing my fingers on that one. I ridiculously need I just need a doctor that can help me navigate all of this, as opposed to me having to do all of it and navigate through it. And seriously, the longer I'm going with people just being like, go see somebody else, like, my tude level is like ridiculously high at the moment. I'm not having a real patience-y kind of dealing with dumbass mode. Oh my lord, you're supposed to be helping me, not the other way around. So anyways, hopefully I'll get some good answers in the next month. Actually get some help in the next month. That would be super nice. So it's a better day than yesterday. Yesterday was really rough. Today was a little bit better. Let's hope the trend continues. Okay. Bedtime for me. So I'll see y'all later. Thanks. Bye.